All right, beautiful people, it's indeed always a pleasure to have you join me on yet another amazing episode of Flipside on independent television, reaching you live from the city of Bronx. I'm talking that city where the king is truly king. Now, for starters, Flipside rather is one very, very unique show that seeks to put a balance to issues by taking a look at them from different angles. Like I always say, variety is the spice of life. It gets boring when you just focus on issues only from one angle. So the essence of Flipside is to take a look at some topical issues and of course try to examine them from different perspectives. It comes your way every Wednesday on this station. My name is Harry Igboje, and of course it's my pleasure to have you join me on this episode of the show. Now today we're discussing something that is endemic, something that is that has eaten really, really deep into our society. It's something that every single one of us is familiar with. We might want to deny it in one way or the other, but the truth of the matter is at the end of the day, it's still staring us in the face. Now, today we're taking a look at corruption and its impact on national development. Now, corruption has been defined by different people in different ways. Okay, so today we're going to attempt to give it, our own definition and hope that we are able to look at it, thoroughly. My name is Harry Igboje, and once again, I'm saying welcome on board. Now, I'm not alone. I've got two amazing gentlemen in the house. They've been here before, and once again, they're here to do justice to this discourse. To my far left is a gentleman. He goes by the name of Favor Sadzi. He is a social impact commentator and, of course, an NGO convener. It's good to have you in the house, bro.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, how's it been?
Fair weather.
Fair weather. I was actually hoping against hope that this rain doesn't pour down, again today.
You can't stop us.
And I'm glad you guys came right in time. Okay, and of course, seated next to Favor is someone else who is also a social impact commentator. He's a rights advocate, and he is someone who is passionate about seeing society better. Okay, so that's his passion. He goes by the name of Ebere Chukwu Odunze. It's good to have you in the house, bro.
Okay, good afternoon, viewers. Good to have you on stage this afternoon.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's get right to the business of the day. A very important topic right here. You guys would agree with me. Corruption. I think that word has become so popular that nowadays when you say it, a lot of persons, like I said, they can relate, but we just seem to have our own individual definitions of the word. So let's begin with you, Favor. If you were asked to define corruption, how would you define it? I think it was a past president that defined corruption as, I've forgotten how he actually put it, but it was quite a controversial way. So how would you define it?
Okay, I would not want to define it out of what is already known. And so why staying within context? It is simply fraud, dishonesty that are being perpetrated by people in power or governance for personal gain. So the key underlying...
Just people in power?
People in power. So, but don't get it confused. Okay. People in power here must not be people in government. You see that bole woman that sells bole in that small space at the junction?
Okay.
That can be her power. And when she decides not to sell tomorrow, what happens to people who would want to live on bole?
Okay.
Power.
So people in power are different from people in government? Okay.
It could be. There are different types of power.
Influence. Okay.
Yes, maybe that's the word.
Okay.
Sphere of influence.
Oh. Interesting. Okay, so corruption is defined as, how did you put it again?
Dishonesty.
Dishonesty and...
by people in power for personal gains.
Do you toe that line, Iberi?
Well, everybody have their definition for corruption. What A believes might be different from what B believes. But the moment where dishonesty, where you're trying to cut corners, trying to expect somebody to give you something in return for a favor you are trying to do for that person, automatically you fall within that line of being corrupt. So if I know, if you know you are supposed to do this without expecting any kickback, and you are not doing it because you want somebody to give you kickback,
that's corruption.
As simple as that. Let's just use the layman language.
Okay.
So they will not use the too many grammars, because the fact is that a lot of people are hearing the word corruption. And just the way we are talking about it, there are people who are praying every morning, say, may corruption favor us. While some persons are saying, say no to corruption, there are people who are saying, let corruption favor us. Because
praying that corruption should favor you is corruption in itself.
Of course it is. It means that if you need to do something for me, and I know I have to give you kickback, I have to rub your hand for you to give me that thing, I will not hesitate. I'll just do it because I know that is the only way. So, the moment you exchange something for what you are exchanging, whatever it is, it could be cash, it could be kind, it could be anything, in quest of getting favor of somebody, you are promoting corruption. So corruption is just like, that's just it. That's corruption.
Okay, so in a nutshell, you guys are saying that beyond bribery and corruption, if you know the right thing to do and fail to do it,
you are part of it. You are championing and promoting corruption. Yes, that's against your professional ethics.
Okay, all right. So anything that is unethical is corruption.
You are promoting. In fact, you are championing corruption.
Okay, now let's begin to examine it within the context of national development. So if you were to define it in that context, how would you define it? Iberi, still on.
Okay, corruption in national development, if we are looking at national context, is that where leaders are entrusted with power or authority to carry out certain activities, and they are not doing it in line with the provision of the Constitution. If, for instance, as the president of Nigeria, let me use that as a case study, it is expected that all Nigerians had, okay, let me use the Chief of Army Staff. I don't want to use the president or the Chief of Inspector General of Police. Security is a core mandate for government.
Okay.
And the citizens are unable to afford or get this shelter or this security as a result of a lot of factors. It could be the armory is not there for them to be protected.
Okay.
It could be the police institution is underfunded. It could be the police institution is well funded, but people who are there, who are supposed to utilize that money, are not utilizing it properly.
Okay.
You know, this alone can actually affect our security apparatus. And of course, you know what it means. It means that there's going to be a loss of life. There's going to be insecurity. There's going to be a lot of issues with regard to security in the country. Okay. So what I would try to say, if you are the Inspector General of Police and you are mandated by the act or by the government to carry out a certain activity and the fund is there, you must ensure that that fund is judiciously used for that purpose, okay, and not to be diverted. And we have heard cases where we say over a certain amount of millions of dollars was released for arms. Let's look at the Northeast, for instance, during the course of the Boko Haram saga. Now, you could see that there were cases where you hear some money was diverted. People who are at the forefront fighting for this country in respect to combating this insurgency are underpaid, they are not taken care of. A lot of them are running out of from the war front because there is nothing to assure them that while you are there, your family can be taken care of or there are logistics available for you. So for those. So as a result, perhaps by the budget of the year, you can see the government budgeting adequately for this. Okay. But these people are not seeing this money being utilized in combating this insurgency. Okay. So where is those money going to? Of course, if you dig further, you cannot see that maybe some of the contract for armory are being awarded to persons who are not qualified to actually, handle such. Okay. Or persons who are supposed to be providing welfare for these persons are diverting the money. Either instead of releasing a particular amount for them, is short paying them. And the moral of the men at the forefront will not be motivated. And you know what it means? When they are not motivated at the forefront, it means that their expectations will not be delivered. It means that they will not be able to achieve what they are expected to achieve. And it means that there will be a drawback in our security, defense in the way of checkmating those insurgencies. It means that the masses will suffer. And it means the masses will suffer. And it means that there will be a national distress, unrest when it comes to this.
Thank you so much, Iberi. Now, Favor, what's your perspective to this? The impact of corruption on national development?
We cannot remove the impact of corruption on national development because if you take a clear look at the society today, both if you consider the political, the social, and even the religious strata of the society, and you realize that a lot of persons have developed this apathy for doing the right thing. And because they have developed this apathy for doing the right thing, they fall back to doing the wrong. Let's begin with why they have developed that apathy. Because goodwill is not rewarded. Because virtue is seen as weakness. Because dishonesty is seen as being smart. And all of these characters, these negative characters, are rewarded. And the reward are seen. So you cannot be telling me about what I have not seen when I'm seeing the evidence on the other divide. I definitely would want to go to the other divide because, first of all, as man that we are, we must survive. So it is a case of survival of the fittest. And what are the standards to fitness in this situation? Having resources. And resources here, the most probable resources here is finance. So when you have issues to resolve, you have issues to settle, you don't have monies to handle them, you become shortchanged. You cannot say you're a man in your house when you cannot attend to bills. You cannot say you're a man to your wife or your girlfriend or even as a firstborn in the house when you cannot foot bills. So if that be the case, you see yourself as less important.
And that's you relating corruption to the home front as well.
Always.
Okay.
So all of these things, before we talk about the society, we still have to come back home. Because the society is only a reflection of what we are individually in our homes.
Okay. Now, how does corruption undermine the quality of infrastructure and public services?
Oh my. you realize that when you go to some public infrastructure facility and you see the way things are being, let's take for example, I don't want to call hospital, a particular hospital, but you go to a hospital where you expect, okay, just some few weeks ago where there was this outbreak of diphtheria also,
yeah.
and a friend of mine was sick and we had to rush this friend to not the friend, the mother. We had to rush this mother to the hospital. And the hospital said there were no beds available.
No beds.
No bed. This is not just any hospital. I don't want to call it. This is not just any hospital. A government hospital, no bed.
As basic as a bed.
At a point, I was going to say, okay, maybe I should take my bed in the car. If it's the lobby, let's put the bed there and put the mother there. But to God be the glory, the doctor in the hospital at the CEO where she was being treated had to call another doctor, and that's how administration was done over the phone. But we have hospitals that are built for these purposes, because when funds are allocated, sometimes they are allocated just on screen.
On paper.
On paper. They are done for camera purpose, and after that camera goes off, that is about the end. Or is it the case of where we've seen funds that are also allocated, half of that fund is going back as kickback. So if a budget is supposed to handle a project of, say, 2 million, let me use that as a case study, okay, and inside 2 million naira that was budgeted to buy this particular equipment, Mr. A, B, C, and D is telling you, I have 1.5 million in that money, go and use the 500 to buy the item. What will you buy with 500 naira as per the budget that has been designated for that equipment? And so that's where you see fake.
Okay, just so we're clear, are you saying that the government is usually not sincere in the allocation of these funds, or there are people within the ranks that divert these funds?
While I would not want to say the government is not sincere, maybe we should say the people in government is not sincere. And guess what? You and I are also partakers of this. Everybody is corrupt. Every single person is corrupt. We aid and abet this corruption. Okay, how do you explain when you see a public officer just got into office? We know that this man, maybe his salary is 300,000, 400,000. And all of a sudden, this happens to be a man who goes to church with his family and pay his normal offering and tithe and go home. But because they've heard, or people have heard, that this man is now a public office holder, therefore he must contribute 50% of the funding of the church building. Where will he get that money from? He has to steal, else he will not be given front row in church.
So the mere expectation, of a huge donation from him is already a sign of corruption on the part of the members.
Pressure. How do you explain that? If it were to be you, with this your fine suit that you are wearing, and the respect and the regards you now hold because you are Mr. AA with social portfolio, and it was time to do the doings, in quotes, and you could not do the doings.
The doings.
They will not invite you next time.
Next time you will not be, your name will not be on the next bulletin. Would you want that for yourself? No. So you see.
Not. Okay, so I mean, it seems like this corruption thing is even deeper than we can imagine. All right, in case you're just joining us, it is Flipside on independent television, and we're taking a look at corruption and its impact on national development. Now, we shall be going on this break, and we'll return. The program continues. Please stay tuned. It's still Flipside on independent television, and we're taking a look at corruption and its impact on national development. Now, before we went on that break, you guys were trying to give us an idea of how bad corruption is and how much it affects national development. Now let's take a look at how it also affects foreign investments. I guess one of the core, should I call it focus of the government of the day is to get foreign investors. That is one of the ways to grow the economy, right?
Yeah.
How does corruption affect, the influx of foreign investments in the country?
When there are too many uncertainties, when there are too many probabilities, when nothing is sure, no investor would want to invest, be it local or international, because you cannot put your money in a place where the rule of law is 50-50, where the justice will be for the highest bidder, where there's nepotism, where there's a lot of frivolities. So having considered that, we've seen in times past where the existing investors even left because the environment for doing business became non-conducive for them. So when it becomes a case of blackmail and all sorts, they have to stay where the conditions are favorable, because the role of every investor is to make profits. So when you consider your fiscal year and you are at loss continuously, what you do next is you shut down, because it's better for you to shut down than to go bankrupt.
I think in addition to that, if you check, I think the 2024 Global Corruption Index, I think we are ranked 36. Nigeria is ranked 36.
Globally?
Yes. And the fact is that another thing that is also very important is what is our developmental plan. Is this that Nigeria has a developmental plan for the next 20 years, 30 years, that every government that comes on board run with that same vision? No. So because of that, you see the uncertainty my brother talked about comes into play. Where I know that if party A leaves tomorrow,
there's
and party B comes,
yes,
exactly, they can actually pause or suspend or revoke certain things that is ongoing to ensure that whatever agenda they want to drive for their own government comes to play.
Even if the policy was working?
Even if the policy was working before they came. So in such cases, you will hardly see people who want to take that kind of risk, because business itself on its own is risk. Now, you are now seeing certain uncertainties, certain things that you are not sure about. Certain assurance are not there that in the next 20 years, this line of business is still going to be sustainable, or 30 years or 50 years, because of the developmental work plan of the country. When you are not seeing those kind of things, automatically you have to have a second thought. Should I not? Uncertainty comes on board. And when uncertainty comes on board, or you know what it means, then let's also look at, when you're talking about foreign investors, what kind of message are we Nigerians preaching about our country? That also goes to show what kind of interest the investors will want to bring on board to our country. If you're not talking well about Nigeria when it comes to security, when you talk to lighting power, which is light, when you talk about the road, and you expect this person to come to your country and do investment when there's you are not sure of 24 hours power supply, you are not sure of security. If I'm coming to your country to invest, I'll still have to be paying for my security, because it's supposed to be the government per se is supposed to provide the security. But if I'm trying to come to your country now, I'm not sure about that, so I have to make arrangement with local police or the security agency around where I'm going to start operating for them to providing me with this security. So a lot of factors will be put into consideration and put in place before any serious investor will want to come into this country and invest. Key of all is power. Second, a very important thing that must be considered is security. They also talk about what's our road. When every year you hear about this road has been awarded before, has been awarded, and those kind of dramas. So any serious investor don't want to take a country of such very serious, because these are supposed to be things that are standard. If those things are there literally without stress, you see the way chunks of investors will become to Nigeria. So those things not being in place is also a key reason why certain investors might not want to consider Nigeria as though we know we have cheap labor. But some of them want to come because of cheap labor. But in quest of this, irrespective of this cheap labor, security, power, and road are still other important sector factors they must also consider or put into view before coming to invest in the country. Okay. And if they are coming, documentation has its own. There you now start hearing this document is supposed to be signed by this, but it's not around. People will now start lobbying, passing through stress. That's another corruption. Whether I like it or not, if I'm coming to this country to invest, you must meet something like that.
It's called red tapeism.
Okay, the red tapeism. Yes. Then, if depending on the community also going to invest, the community will now also come with a lot of factors must be considered.
Okay.
A lot.
Do you know there are places in Edo State, let's not go far, where a citizen, a private individual said, oh, this area hasn't got lights or power for 2-3 years. I cannot be here and we are suffering power. Though I get to on my generator, but I think we should have power. Okay. What is the problem? They say, oh, we don't have transformer. Transformer is bad. BDC came to carry the transformer 3 years ago and they refused to bring it. I said, okay, no problem. I will buy the transformer. He went and bought the transformer and brought the transformer. On the day he was bringing the transformer from the van on the site, boys from the area, youth from the area, led by youth leaders and also elders said, before you put this transformer, you must pay us.
Same area.
Same area that the man is trying to help are saying, you must pay them to put this transformer. And when you ask, and say, nah, so they do one. So you see,
so I guess that's what it means when we say that corruption has become endemic.
It's a norm, yes. It's endemic.
Because when you hear people say stuff like, na so it be, na so we did,
na so we did, without any good explanation, they'll tell you, na so we did.
Standard.
And when you ask why, the only explanation they give is, na so we did do. Yeah. Do you know that sometimes when you go to buy fuel in from petrol station and you are trying to pay with your card, the attendant will tell you, you have to put 100 naira. Oh. And you ask, why am I putting 100 naira when I'm paying you your money to your company account? You tell you, na so they do, na so they tell me, and therefore you must what? Do it. Do we have to look at the government in this case? This is us. This is you in your place of power because you hold the nozzle and you hold the filling station. And because if you don't sell me that way, I may not be able to proceed with my journey. What power could be more than that?
And there was an issue like that we treated not too long ago.
Of course, we almost fought.
It was a serious issue.
And we said, we will not pay.
You paid for a way B, they brought it, you've already paid. For you to come and carry the way B, they'll still tell you still have to pay for.
I haven't paid for service charge.
And that person is bringing it. Did that person not, are you not working together? And this was am I supposed to be paying for?
This was a goods that arrived the same day.
Not the 2
But we have to pay you. It's not 3K for storekeeping. Now we've paid 2,000 for storekeeping. Paid 12,000 for logistics. Now you're telling us to pay 100 naira to pay you your money. I want to pay you your money. I have to pay you your money.
It's somehow.
Paying twice. Yes. Now this is really sickening because it goes to show that it's really, really deep. This has eaten so deep into the fabrics of the society.
And that's why I said we are all enablers.
Yes, and I guess that's one of the reasons my brother would say that it's easy to blame the government, but the government is actually a reflection of the people.
True.
Because it is the people that become the government.
The government, and that's my stand. The family.
Okay, now let me ask this. You see, the national resources belong to everyone, right? Irrespective of age, class. Supposedly. But how does corruption, affect the distribution of these resources?
Corruption creates a strata. Corruption creates hierarchy. Class, unnecessarily. We know there's supposed to be the lower class, the middle class, and the upper class.
Upper class, yeah.
What do we have now? There's a clear distinction between the upper class and the lower class. There's no middle class anymore. It's either you are rich or you are poor. So at that category of a situation that we have now, what happens to the poor when they cannot afford basic amenities? And these are amenities that are supposed to be for common good. But some persons, few, minute number in the society, would have diverted all of this to create generational wealth. And this gives advantage to their children and children what? Unborn. Why you suffer to make ends meet? When you compete for jobs, you are left with nothing. They get the jobs in the word connection. What we call connection happens to be dishonest and corrupt practices of I know and you know who.
Connection, corruption. Okay, so when it's, because I've heard some persons say when it favors you, it's
connection,
right? But when it doesn't favor you,
it's corruption.
Okay, Ebere, he made mention of generational wealth. Does it even make sense to want to acquire generational wealth when there are people around you who actually need to survive at the moment?
Well, that is where mindset comes to play. The fact is that one of the reasons why I like the average, let me use the Northerners, for instance, is that they believe if they die today, they are buried them. So some of them do not really believe this. Some of them don't really believe that.
I'm glad you're saying some of them,
yes,
because we
I know
still
why
have a
some
number
of
of them who have this mentality of acquiring.
I know why some of them.
They
don't have this. They just believe that whatever I have, it should be for the public. But sometimes people also abuses it, because they feel that you give, every now and then they just want to. They also care about if you even have, generational wealth is good, but it must not be to the detriment of the populace. If you're a businessman and you're making your money, you're employing people, you are paying them what is due them, you have enough to save for your family, this is fine. But when you're not enriching yourself from the sweat of the common Nigerians and what is due them and not giving them, it means you're already, even when you're amassing that wealth, your children will still waste that money because they don't know the value, they don't know what it takes to save and gather money. So for us as leaders, we must know that even when we are entrusted with any responsibility, we must be able to do it with all sense of sincerity and honesty. And your generational wealth might not necessarily be because you are amassing enough money. The kind of network or contact you keep can also serve as generational wealth. When they say this is the son of Ebere, or this is the son of Sazi Favor, this is the son of Harry, your name could actually make your children get certain access. Okay. So good name, sometimes is better than riches. But because of the way we are seeing...
Is that what some persons mean when they say your net worth equals your network equals your net worth?
Yeah, to an extent, yes. But also, it also depends on the kind of network you have.
And in the kind of society.
Yes.
Okay.
It also depends on the kind of network you have and in the kind of society. Let me also add that. Because if your network are people who are not sincere, well, you know the implication now. You must join that line. If your network are people who are sincere, they are contented. The basic thing, one of the reasons why corruption is thriving, is contentment. People are not contented with whatever they have. They want to allow societal value, societal norms or pressure, peer pressure, setting this influence to say, no, you must buy this latest, this, you must be involved in this, you must be. But if you are contented with whatever you have, you will not be easily cajoled to be involved in certain things that does not promote the good of your country. So contentment is one key. And one of the reasons why I see people having houses all over the place, some are for business very well, which we know, some are into development, real estate and all that. Yeah. But some, because they don't know what to do with the money that they've stolen, they are now investing it just to buy property, to say that they have properties. But whereas that money, if it was used for the purpose, every other Nigerian would have been happy. So 2 trillion naira for Nigerian youth to carry out certain activity. Before it gets down to where the Nigerians youth who are supposed to benefit it, it has reduced to, let's say, 500 billion. From the 500 billion, before it gets to implementation stage, it has reduced to 200 billion. For the 200 billion implementation stage, just say, let's keep 20 billion for exigency, 20 billion for miscellaneous, 10 billion for on the unknown. That's 50 billion. The 150 billion is for implementation. Before you know, you now see things that are substandard, that are shambles, that does not even represent reflect the true reflection of the proposed budget or the amount they're supposed to. So, and the fact is that nobody is actually, even when you decide to question this process, it will take time for you to get results. Our feedback mechanism is not as swift as it ought to be.
Right. It depends.
Okay, it's okay, gentlemen. Don't worry, we'll definitely come back to this. In case you just joined us, it is Flipside on Independent Television. We shall be going on this very important break, and when we return, the program continues. Please stay tuned. Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's still Flipside on Independent Television. We're taking a look at corruption and its impact on national development. Now, before we went on that break, Favor, I saw you agitating to...
Of course, of course. The system is not as slow as my brother here is saying it to, because we've seen situations where justice was served in 24 hours. We've seen it. And you'll be like, is this not the same court that have been adjourning matters for years? So it depends on, like I said the last time we were here in the show, justice is for the highest bidder. If you have money, justice will come almost immediately. So it's a case of the higher your corruption, the better justice you get. Or maybe I should put it this way. To defeat a current corruption, you need a bigger corruption. So if you have a bigger corruption that can match the existing corruption, you will win. So it's corruption against corruption. And sadly, you know, these things, they didn't just start. Corruption started the moment when we were young, when someone came to the house and gave us money and said, take 20 naira. And we said, mommy, take my 20 naira. They dash me 20 naira. And a week later, you're asking mommy, where's my 20 naira? She'll tell you, your 20 naira is what I've been using to feed you since you don't have any money. That is corruption.
You think that's corruption?
Corruption. Did you not define corruption as dishonesty by people in power? Your mother is the one in power.
But I mean, a lot of us grew up seeing that as the norm. Like
the same way we've seen current practice of corruption as what the norm. It is normal for you to lobby and bribe now, right?
Okay.
You go to a public office or a civil, the civil service right now, you need a particular signature, a particular document. If you don't have half of the money you are looking for to bribe your way through, you will come back empty. A friend of mine was supposed to collect, the mother died and he was supposed to collect the money, what they call the gratuity and the rest from these people. And you know what happened? We got there, I was with him. He had to pay 150,000 to nobody because the woman said the magistrate is not around. If you don't bring this money, we will not sign this thing, and nothing will happen. And nothing will happen. Does he know the magistrate? No. Can he assess the magistrate? No. Did he pay the money? Yes. Did the money he was looking for come out after? Yes. But did they say that was a norm? Yes. Did they say this was what everybody had done before? Yes. Did he prepare the money beforehand? Yes. Because it is said that this is the what? Norm.
So he became an enabler.
So I guess it was a case of over familiarity with the system.
Maybe, maybe
actually,
not.
What I mean is, you know, some of us grew up with this mentality. Okay, of course, some of our parents taught us or told us that it was bad manners to demand for the money that a stranger or some guest came and gave us, right? And just like some of our parents would say, it is true that the money, I mean, that they've been using to take care of us did not come from us. So we have no right to demand for whatever it is that was given to us by guests. Now, this might seem like a harmless thing, right? Ebere, this is to you. Do you think this has anything to, because he just attributed this to corruption, do you think that actually...
Well, that is his own definition. For me, I feel that there are certain times, if, for instance, if you used to give me 200 naira, I give it to my mom, and tomorrow I need to pay something in school and I need 500 naira. Okay, I decided to go and draw my mom 200 naira and I need to pay something in school. Mom now say, I don't have money. The money that I've used, that 200 naira that you requested a refund. That's what I would have added. But what do we now do? Okay, don't worry, when I have. Our mothers or our parents knows that what they try to do is so that will not get too attached to material things then. Okay. I think that was why they're trying to instill
so they
that.
Meant well. They
meant well, not because that money is, the money they spend and they give us a normal day to go and eat when we are going to school or church is even more than that one that stranger is giving you. But they just want to let you know that if somebody gives you something, always report it. And you know, for safekeeping. It could also be for safekeeping. Tomorrow you might need something. Let's say, do you have this money? Take. You know, but in a nutshell, I feel that corruption runs in every strata in this country, both from the political angle, the non-political angle, the educational sector, the transportational sector, the security sector, the legal sector. Mention one sector where corruption does not thrive.
But let me interject you, my brother Iberi. Right. You know, so that I will not forget this. You know, you just mentioned how you just defended our mothers, our parents. Yes, I like my mother. I love her so much. But let me say this: what we just mentioned now, how is it different from the happenings in Niger Delta, where they bring the resources of the nation comes from where? Niger Delta, as we know, and the bulk of the resources from crude oil. And what they do is they carry these resources and give to the federal government, our mother, right?
In trust.
In trust. And they say, Mommy, take this is what the nature dashed us. And when it's time to now give back to Niger Deltans, they'll be told, you don't know this is the money we're using to take care of Nigeria.
The whole nation.
And we say, oh, the government is what? Corrupt. You will say the government is corrupt. You have said the government is corrupt.
I think you do have a point. Because the reason it seems less, you know, it looks less like corruption is because our parents are involved.
Yes, emotions.
You know, yes,
no, it's not emotion. It's not emotion, it's not sentiment.
Okay.
We are talking about the values here.
Okay.
If, for instance, you give me 200 naira, and as a child, do I even know what to do with that money?
Okay, so you
don't even know
to say that our parents were also teaching us accountability?
Yes,
accountability
and safekeeping.
The value system is equity.
Accountability and safekeeping.
Let's talk accountability. Who is supposed to be accountable? I have shown accountability by giving you what? The money. Okay. Show me accountability by giving me back my what?
What do you want?
Money.
If now give you that money now,
okay,
what will you now do? Wait,
that is not the
we are going somewhere. No, we are going somewhere.
That is not
no, we are going somewhere.
Okay.
They gave me 200 naira.
Yes.
And I surrendered it to my mom. Now I want to go, Mommy, I have money with you. I need to buy this. Abi? My mom
can buy sweets.
My mom can
sweets
say, okay, I say, Mommy, I have 200 naira. I want to buy sweet. Your mom can say, okay, for the 200 naira, take 20 naira, take 10 naira, take 5 naira, as the case may be.
Okay.
Now you are going somewhere, you now say, Mommy, I'm going to Jari. I don't have transportation. Whereas you're a kid, you cannot go on your own. Your mom will carry you, Abi.
Yeah.
For instance, pay your transportation. from where? Your 200 naira because it's you that want to go. But your mom will not do it like that. If on a norm, if you like, she wants to take you anywhere, she takes you because it is her responsibility. But however, as a child, it is better when somebody gives you something, you say it out so that people will be aware.
Okay.
Then if tomorrow anything is coming out, they'll say we are aware.
Okay.
He mentioned this. And
Can we agree that it had both its good side and its bad side? The good side was them teaching us morals, teaching us, to be accountable to them. That at that age, we didn't have what it took, to manage money, to make the best of the money that we have, right? But at the same time, like he rightly said, I think to a large extent, that was the bedrock of corruption, because
It's simple.
much of what we do, what we condemn the government for, he just used the Niger Delta, as a case study. Okay, the resources that's gotten from the region is used to take care of the entire country, and then when the people from that region demand for accountability from the government, they explain it away and say, well, we're using the resources to take care of the entire nation. Now, it isn't much different, if you ask me.
there's a flip
But it's
side.
okay.
You are looking at the coin from two sides.
This
No.
is the flip side.
Yes.
Now, when you are talking about the Niger Delta, the oil we are talking about, there are procedures to extract that oil.
Okay.
The fund we are talking about that was given to this child, there was no procedure.
Okay.
So resources was already invested. Certain amount of resources was already invested for us to be able to get that oil.
All right.
And of course, you must know that when you are doing business, your investments and your profits, you must be able to separate them.
I think the underlying word there is gifts.
Gift. Okay.
Both items are gifts.
No.
All right. Let's move away
Even
from
the
there.
gift, one was invested for it to be
The child
extracted.
invested in
All right,
character.
guys. Let's move away from that. Okay. Let's go right into something I would like us to examine: how corruption manifests in the educational sector. There are so many things that happen in the educational sector that a lot of persons do not consider to be corruption. But I'm sure if we're able to, beam our searchlight on it, it will become clearer, as to how these things are actually a reflection of corruption. Favor, what are those ways in which corruption manifests within the educational sector?
Number one, and most popular, sextortion.
What does that mean? That sounds like a new word.
It's not new. How do you put it again? Sex for grades.
For grades, okay.
Then we'll talk about buying grades. Now, for those who can afford it, they buy grades with money. For those who cannot afford money, they buy grades with their body. In recent times, it has even gone beyond the female gender to even the opposite sex, though more controversial. So what we've seen over time is people who are supposed to do the needful, which is study hard, pass your exams, get your grades according to merit, leave school, and become useful to the society, we get the otherwise. You see people who have passed in flying colors, but just a simple conversation with these people will make you question everything they stand for. And the question mark we have here is this person really educated? I'll share you a story. I was in my office some time back, and a medical doctor came, and she was a young graduate. She just graduated. In fact, part of what she was doing was induction. And she came and was acting unruly. And they say customers are always right. So we just, overlook the attitude and character and say, okay, let's just condone this. And it got to a point where she was acting so bad, so badly behaved, that we told her, these are our policy. You have to do it according to what we want you to do. If you cannot do it, you don't have to do business with us. You know the next thing she did? In fact, we're telling her, okay, take a pen, write a paper, what you need. This lady took our invoice notebook, tore it, and started writing. And what was she trying to prove? Because we told her to take a paper and pen, so she wanted to protest and send a message. And the next thing she did was pick that booklet and tore it and started writing. I looked and I told her, you are a very, very insensitive human being. But to cut the long story short, the father came and apologized on her behalf and expressed his disappointment. But again, this is...
The question was a medical doctor?
Yes, University of Benin. And this is supposed to be a medical what? Doctor that is supposed to handle lives of what? People. So you see, maybe intellectually she would have been trained, but you see, character, zero. And your academics or your degree, as Ben will call it, or University of Benin will call it, is both in character and learning. So if you score a 50% for learning, what about character? But if you ask me, I think I'll give character 80% because character will determine what the value for your learning would be for. It is a serious problem.
Indeed, it's a serious problem. Now, Favor, I'm sorry, Ebere, You have anything to add to that?
Education system is actually experiencing one of its tumblest time in recent times. Reason is that probably before now, there's this joy or this reward you get for performing very well when it comes to academics. But in recent times, people just want to get the degree and move on, irrespective of whatever it takes. And that's where you see a lot of miracle centers springing up here and there. You hear people paying this to make WAEC, even JAM. You can hear JAM when you hear JAM will tell you that there was some falsification of result, or there was centers where they try to beat the system and stuff like that.
All right, hold that thought, Iberi. We have to go on this break, and when we return, the program will begin to wrap up. Please stay tuned. Yeah, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's still Flipside on independent television, and this is the final lap of the program. Iberi.
Yes, we're talking about the educational sector, and because of that, you see, if I set in some years back, I decided I was not going to the university because of what I observed or experienced, where I was just a WAEC holder. I could do more better than someone who graduated from university. And I'm like, if this person actually went to university, and me that is a WAEC holder could do more, what's not the essence of going to school? But at the long run, I met one of my boss lady. She said, Iberi, you need to go back to school to develop your expertise. And that was what actually prompted me to go back to school. What am I trying to say is that going to university is one thing. Knowing what you went there to do is another thing.
Okay.
Our educational system has been so bastardized to the point that people no longer even trust our certificates because of what they hear happens within the four walls of the university, outside the university, even our secondary school. And that is why I see even a country that you say English is one of our, perhaps English is our primary language in Nigeria, you'll now be hearing the Western world telling us to do either Duolingo or IELTS or SAT to test our ability. It's because of how they've actually rated us. If not, our government would have been able to take them to say, if you cannot do this thing, forget about it. But because the system has actually been bastardized and is malfunctioning, that's why even the government cannot hold these people accountable and tell them, either you do it this way, or you do it this way. So that is how it is. Or you want to talk about where you hear somebody will tell you, there was a case I was discussing with some friends the other day. A student called his lecturer and said, they know they had test. In the morning of the exam, he called his lecturer and like, sir, sorry, I'm purging, I won't be able to come to school. And I said, the lecturer said, if it was exam, would you have also done that? You know, a lot of things are actually wrong. Where we give it to some who are actually doing very well, we feel that others who are not doing very well should be able to, improve better. And moreover, another challenge I see that why the education system is like that is that sometimes the lecturers are actually underpaid. The education system is underfunded.
Okay.
If you cannot be paying me peanuts, expect me to take over, let's say 400 or 300 students.
Expecting maximum output.
Expect me to give them the best. Whereas I am getting peanuts. Lecturers are collapsing. They're even teachers because they are underpaid. But you want them to bring out the best. It's not going to be profitable. It's not going to be. They can't get it. It cannot happen. But if you are taking care of them, a lecturer to, let's say, 10 students, you will see the performance. That's why you see some of the private universities are even thriving because they have specific numbers assigned to their lecturers compared to the public universities where you see lecturers supervising a huge chunk number of students.
Okay, so you're also attributing this to overcrowded.
Overcrowded, underpayment, with the welfare, the way they take care of them, a lot of factors.
All right.
So if these things are actually properly channeled, I'm sure that the lecturers know that he's going home with something reasonable. You know what? There's nobody that come and tell him, oh, please, I take 10,000 or 20,000 or 30,000 for me to have A or B in your course. Okay. Because the lecturer knows that he's financially okay. All right. When he knows the environment that he's living is conducive for him, there's no reason he want to succumb to any kind of external influence, financial inducement, for him to override his decision.
All right. I see you smiling and shaking your head, Favor. What do you have to say?
The truth is,
as we begin to wrap up, of course.
I would differ with my brother here, of course. What I would even say now might even offend a lot of people, and even him, because I feel it's not a problem of underpayment.
Okay.
I feel people are just greedy.
Okay.
You could still see people who are very rich and still want to extort. We've seen it. Okay, He said if these lecturers are funded well enough that they would, how did you put it again? That they'll give their best.
Okay.
You cannot give what you don't have. These lecturers, some, let me not generalize, some lecturers don't even have near best. So even if you give them millions of dollars to give out the best, what you still obtain will still be below standard, because the system did not start the decay from the lecturers. It started from the learning process, the recruitment process. So if you go back to its secondary schools, where the lecturers became university graduates and finally became lecturers, what do we have there? Then at the secondary level, where secondary school is still even far. Do you know that in primary schools and secondary schools today, the kind of teachers you see there are SSC graduates? Go around and check around. You see people who just finished secondary school and they are trying to write JAM or trying to write WAEC, they don't have a job here. Instead of them to stay at home doing nothing, will just attach themselves to one school and they start teaching. Now, imagine with a teacher without technical know-how, curriculum and otherwise, is the one nurturing and teaching students. Now, these students will leave that, of course, they'll pass their exam. It's not to cram. They'll cram, memorize, and pass. When they cram and pass, they get into the university. They meet the same standard of teachers who a lecturer that graduated from Department A is now lecturing in Department B. But because it is the same la cram, la pour, la delete, we get the system where they still finally...
Garbage in, garbage out.
Garbage out. They still find a way to... Go to some universities in this school, check their past question for this year and the past question for 10 years ago. It is the same. It's just a cycle of rinse and repeat. Okay. Researchers have gone beyond that stage. Innovations have gone beyond that stage. Where was the last time in this part of the world, South, you had an invention from a black citizen here? When? The only time you get this is probably in tech, and these are people who went out of the school league, went on YouTube, learnt and became something from themselves.
All right. All right. I actually do wish we had more time, but unfortunately, time is never our friend on this program. I want to say a big thank you to you guys for your amazing contribution to this. You've actually done justice to the discourse. Corruption is a very broad topic, and even if we spend all day talking about it, we'll never be able to exhaust it. But I want to say a big thank you to you guys once again for being a part of the show. All right, it's been Flipside on independent television, and we've been taking a look at corruption and its impact on national development. Now, like I said, corruption is a very, very serious issue. It's a cankerworm that has eaten so deep into the fabrics of our society, and we all have a responsibility, to stamp it out of our society. Else, it's only a matter of time before we all become victims. In fact, we're all victims already. I don't even think, it could get worse than this. But hey, we all owe ourselves a responsibility to ensure that we stamp it out of our society. My name is Harry Aigbo J, and until I come your way again, same time, same station next week, do the right thing, stay out of trouble, and bye for now.